Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I want to tell you something that probably won't affect hardly any of you, but I think it'll be interesting. My son, who lives in Richmond, Virginia, sent me a text of a report in the Richmond paper about how fire ants were invading the area. And probably most of you haven't had fire ants before. If you trek to Florida like the masses of people do in the winter, then maybe you have had fire ants. But apparently the fire ants are moving northward. I don't think they're ever going to get up here because I think our winters would kill them off. But my personal experience with fire ants, I got to tell you, it goes way back, and it has stayed with me my whole life. I remember one day in Florida when my kids were young, and we were getting ready to return. We were getting into the car to start our 1,500-mile drive north, and I stepped on a fire ant. And it stung me. Boy, if you've never had a fire ant bite you, believe me, you don't want one. You don't want it to happen. They have venom. They sting and burn, and it doesn't stop. It goes on. And it lasted. The burning sting of that bite lasted me through several states until I got up to New York. And then it itched for days. But my son Scott was telling me, he said, Dad, don't you remember when we were in Florida, when he was a little kid? He said, you took me fishing down by some pond or something. We were probably fishing bullhead or catfish. And he said, I was sort of walking around. I got bored or something, and I was walking around, and I saw this mound on the ground. And so what do? I take a stick, and I start beating on it to see what it was. And out came the fire ants. And they can move like lightning. Fire ants are famous for their speed and their anger. They're called an angry ant. They're always angry. And out they came, he said, and they got all over me. And they started biting me and stinging me all over. And I was screaming. He said, and I don't know if you remember, but you picked me up and you threw me in the water. You threw me in the pond. And I said, Scott, I don't remember that. But that was a powerful memory in his mind of me, I guess, rescuing him from these angry beasts that live in the ground. But the moral of my story is the experiences in life that those things around us bring to us. I'm talking about fishing all the time, and I tell you all the other things that happen. I remember a time when I was doing a TV show on the Deer River up by North Lawrence, and I had come along the bank, and I told my cameraman at the time, I said, look, I know that there's going to be walleyes right down over the bank. What I'd like you to do is to be able to capture me walking down to the water, casting in, and getting a strike, because I know I'll get a strike on the first cast because the walleyes are always going to be around the structure every year. So with all these wonderful intentions, I started down over the bank. And what did I do but step on a ground wasp nest, and up they came. And they chased me through the field, and they stung my face, and I looked so grotesque after several hours that when we ended the show, it was like seeing Frankenstein and his creator sitting on a log as we both fell into the water, and that's how I ended the show. But my face was grotesquely bitten by these ground wasps. So whether it be fire ant, ground wasps, heaven knows, poison ivy, all the things that can happen to us where we're out in the outdoors, and yet some of my strongest memories are of incidents like these. So that's my story for today about the fire ants that are moving their way north like so many other things are. I don't think they'll come here. I don't think there'll be a problem like the ticks are and some of the other things that have moved into our area. But it's worth knowing that something like this is happening. They're taking areas of Virginia and turn them into quarantine areas because of the fire ants to try to restrict their movement, and they're spreading out. One other interesting thing that you might want to know, and just because it's interesting, fire ants tend to, if they come to water, they tend to grab onto each other, and they form a raft of fire ants that can move across the water and get to the next area where they can spread forward. Think of that. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.